Hey creatives, back again today, and after having worked on that jelly print series that I've just finished, so the monoprints and ideas on how to use them, I've been kind of racking my brains on what to do in today's video, and I've got a big old long list of ideas, but none of them were really sort of speaking to me. So just as a coincidence, my friend Tanya Ahmed on Instagram said, "Are you going to be doing Carve December?" And I was like, oh, bing! I hadn't really thought about it, mainly because I think my head is still in October and I'm having difficulties being in December. I might be a bit overexcited today because our Christmas tree has just arrived. Woo! So my body is in December, but the rest of me is still back in October. Anyway, if you're not sure what Carve December is, it's a month-long challenge that's run by Julie Faye Fan Bolzer, and it's all about carving your own stamps and then sharing them with everyone else. And I'll leave a link to Julie's website so you can find out all about how to join in for Carve December, and that will be in the description below. And I'll also leave a link to Tanya's, she's got a YouTube channel and her Instagram as well, so I'll leave links to all of those so you can go and say hi too. So I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to be able to do all of December, doing a carve every day. I'll hopefully be able to do some of it. But what I thought I'd do today in this video was just run through what my favourite products are for carving my own stamps. And I also thought that I might try something that I've never actually tried before. So I'm not entirely sure how it's going to turn out. So we'll just have to wait and see, won't we?
These are some of the materials that I use for stamp carving, but I'm eager to hear what you use when you're doing your stamp carving, so let me know, and also let me know if you're going to be joining in with Carve December this year as well. Now, I really enjoy using the Speedball Speedy Carve, which is the pink blocks that you can see here, but I also have some Speedball Speedy Cut Easy, which is the blue block, and these white blocks are Master Cut by Esdi. I'm not really sure how you pronounce that. They're a little thinner and they kind of feel a little bit stiffer than the Speedball products, but these are the only ones out of the carving stash that I've not yet tried, so give me a shout if you have and let me know how you got on with them. Speedy Carve is by far the easiest product that I've used to date, and it's just a joy to carve into actually. Now, it's quite thick and you can actually use both sides, which is great because then you get two for the price of one, and you'll see that a little bit later in the video. And I tend to keep all of my offcuts, even if they're absolutely tiny. And it comes in different sizes and shapes. And of course I'll leave a link below in the description to all the products that I'm showing here, just in case you want to get some and try it out yourselves. Next up is Soft Cut Lino. Now this is very thin and you only carve into one side, and that's the smooth side. The other side is very slightly rougher. Now this product is a great one for experimenting in because it's extremely cheap, but it's not as easy to carve into as, say, the Easy Carve, but it's way easier to carve into than the traditional linos that we all use to carve our stamps in. Now the other thing that I quite like using are just ordinary white erasers. Now you don't really get as much choice in the size for these, but they are quite thick so you can carve on both sides. And they're very soft and very much like carving into the Easy Carve. I think I bought these smaller ones in the supermarket Lidl when they were doing one of their office supply offers, so keep your eye out for those. As to the carving tools, I think I bought a very rudimentary set, so this was just like a beginner set or something like that, and it came with a handle and some interchangeable blades, and you just unscrew the top of the handle and put your blade in and then screw it back up again. And a handy tip, if you don't have one of those handles that you can store the blades in, then do like I'm doing, where I've stored my blades in a little jar. I kind of use the medium blade for most jobs, and that's the one that kind of stays in my holder most of the time. And before we get into any actual carving, I just wanted to share some ideas to just get your head starting to roll and thinking about what you're going to create and what you want to carve into your stamps. So I really enjoy layering my DIY stamps because you can basically do anything you want with these. For example, I made a grid stamp where I used a line grid for one stamp and then a square grid on another stamp, and have them so they match each other quite well, and these layer perfectly. And it doesn't really matter if you don't stamp them perfectly, because that slightly offset look is quite fun too. You can make your stamps really simple or add just more design and make them more intricate. And the more you do it, the easier you'll find it, just like everything else. And you can also carve your own sentiment stamps. Just remember to reverse the writing so that when it stamps the correct way. And this is what I mean about being able to carve into both sides of your thicker materials. So this is the Speedy Carve, and I've got a stamp carved in both sides. Okay, let's have a bit of fun and do some carving. One of the simplest ways of getting the idea that you've got onto that block ready to carve is to just draw it on with a pencil or a pen. And all the carve products that I've shared with you today, you can draw on all of them. Now there are different ways of getting your design down. You can use transfer techniques, you can use printing techniques. I mean, there's lots of different ways you can actually start getting that design on there, but this is one of the simplest just to get you started. Once the design is down, then you can start removing the areas that you don't need by using a knife. Now, safety is an issue when you're doing your carving. These knives are sharp, and if they slip, they will cut your fingers. But you can find special holders that will grip the block in place whilst you carve, and they'll keep your fingers away from the knife. Unfortunately, I don't actually have any, but I will link them up below so that you can find them easily. So what I do is I try to keep my fingers behind the direction that I'm pushing the knife. It's not always easy to do, but it's the best way that I've come across for trying not to get my fingers cut. And so far I've not had an incident, but that's probably going to be famous last words. If my next picture has fingers with lots of plasters on it, then you'll know that I made a big mistake. So I generally start by taking off the top layer around my design. I'm not really going that deeply into the block. I'm just getting most of the stuff I don't need off, and then I'll go back in and refine it and take more off as I need it. And when I've done 1 or 2 passes at taking off the bits I don't need, then I might try inking it up and seeing how it looks. And apart from the fact that I've got a couple of bits of stray carvings stuck on the actual stamp, just pick those off now, it's looking really good. And in fact, I think I'm going to leave it as it is. I had planned to smooth off those circles and make them much more circular, but I kind of like that rugged look to them. And it doesn't look like there's any bits that are inking up that shouldn't be inking up, so I don't need to remove those either. Okay, so this is all very well, but what if you don't have any of these carving materials? Well, there's always vegetables, isn't there? So this is the bit I've not actually ever done before. I might have done it as a kid, perhaps we all did, but I've definitely not done it as an adult. And I thought it might be fun to give it a go. Now you can, of course, if you have got the carving knives, use the carving knives, but I'm going to go on the basis that if you haven't got the carving materials, then you probably don't have the carving knife either. So let's just try an ordinary craft knife. And the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make this into a roller stamp. You could, of course, cut your carrot up and carve into the flat surface, but I thought this might be fun to try. Now I've picked the straightest carrot that I could find. It's still a bit wonky, so we'll have to just see if this works. The carrot is ridiculously easy to carve into. So whilst I'm doing that, and before I share the results, I'm just going to do the usual shout out that if you've liked this video and you're finding it useful, then please do give it a thumbs up and also share it with other people who might like it too. And a big hello to all of my subscribers. Great to see you here again. And to those who haven't subscribed, perhaps if this has been useful to you, you might think about subscribing and hitting that notification bell so that you don't miss my next art craft or vegetable carving video. No, really, I don't do vegetable carving, as you can see. This is just a one-off. I don't know about you, but I'm itching to give this a go. So the first thing I'm going to try is just an ink pad and see how that works. Ooh, there's definitely potential there, but the wonkiness is definitely getting in the way. So what about if I then just make my surface a bit softer? So I'm just pressing the carrot into the paper that I'm holding in my hand instead. Yeah, I think that will work. And probably if you put a soft mat or some tea towels under the surface to be stamped, then that would work as well. Okay, next up is some acrylic paint that I'm just going to add to my carrot with a sponge. Yep, and I think the paint with the makeshift carrot roller stamp has some great potential for adding textures to surfaces. Okay, so this time I've cut the carrot down and see if that will help with the wonkiness a little bit. And that rolling it between 2 surfaces seemed to work really well, with the extra added bonus of you've got 2 different textures. Right, one more DIY carrot roller stamp experiment to go, and this time on fabric. I hope you enjoyed the results, and I can't wait to see what stamps you carve this December. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.